Good afternoon, everyone. This is Cassandra, and I am responding to our week 6 discussion question. Okay, it stated, what are the most common reasons for a board to discipline a counselor? According to ethical violations that lead to disciplinary actions, I read an article in the Wiley Library online that the most frequent types of ethical violations included failure to acquire the appropriate amount of continuing education, dual relationships, sexual and non sexual, and misrepresentation of credentials. Experts in counseling ethics that indicated that the ability to practice ethically, to abide by the code of ethics, and to appropriately apply models of ethical decision making are ethical issues for professional counselors. My personal reaction is that when I look on the complaints in the North Carolina Board of Licensed Professional Counseling, and I observed the many counselors that has been disciplined, suspended, revoked. I was really shocked because as counselors, they are held to a higher standard of practice in whatever field of counseling they are in. Ethics are a set of moral principles or rules of conduct for an individual group or for an individual. Ethics including ethical codes and principles aim to balance the power and ensure that the counselor operates for the good of the client and not for self. Primarily, counselors' duty of care is to their clients. Even though difficult situations can arise in any counseling setting, and when they do, counselors are expected to engage in a carefully considered ethical decision making process. This is recommended by the 2014 ACA Code of Ethics. How might self care or lack thereof result in counselors' impairment? According to Rimley and Hurlia, self-care is an ethical obligation that all counselors must take seriously, in which it states that counselors cannot provide nourishment to clients if they are not nourished themselves. It is very imperative that counselors must continue to develop self-monitoring skills so that they can stay psychologically and healthy to continue counseling. It is recommended that even though there may be limited education on self-care, it is very important that counselors learn the symptoms of burnout and familiarize themselves with various wellness models and how to manage the stressors in their own everyday lives. ACA Code of Ethics says that counselors should engage in self-care activities to maintain and promote their own emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual well-being to meet their professional responsibilities. What does the ACA Code of Ethics and the professional counselors say about counselors' wellness and impairment? C-2.G states that counselors should monitor themselves for signs of impairment from their own physical, mental, or emotional problems and refrain from offering or providing professional services when impaired. Counselors are asked to assist colleagues or supervisors in recognizing their own professional impairment and to provide consultation and assistance when warrant with colleagues or supervisors showing signs of impairment and intervene as appropriate to prevent imminent harm to clients. Counselors, as they implement the wellness model in their counseling techniques, they must also focus on areas in their own lives to increase wellness. A question that I would ask is that in our lesson, it stated that counselors cannot be totally competent nor totally incompetent. How can one's competency be measured because of that statement to perform at an acceptable level while being impaired? Thank you for listening.